What's the difference between the life you're living now and the life you've always wanted? The difference is simple. It's not about talent, connections, or luck. It's about the one thing that holds every single one of us back: fear. Fear of failure. It's real, it's powerful, and it's stopping you from reaching your full potential. So let me ask you something. How many times in your life have you avoided taking action because you're scared of failing? How many opportunities have you missed through your fingers because the thought of "what if it goes wrong" paralyzed you? Today we're going to talk about how to beat that fear of failure. We'll look at what it's doing to you, why it's holding you back, and most importantly, how to break free. By the end of this video, you'll have actionable steps to start moving toward your goals, no longer hindered by that nagging fear. Fear is not just an emotion, but physiologically has the power to stop us because of fear of getting hurt or possibly failing. It's a defense mechanism, the body saying, "Stop. Don't do that. You might fail. You might get hurt. People might judge you." In today's world where failure does not necessarily translate to physical harm, this defense mechanism can prevent you from doing things. You see, fear is not the enemy. The real enemy is inaction. Fear only controls you if you let it stop you from taking that first step. But the secret is, every time you take action despite the fear, you weaken its grip on you. So let's break it down. What makes fear so powerful? Fear of failure often comes down to fear of judgment. You're afraid of what other people think of you. You're afraid if you fail, people are going to see it and criticize you. But here's the thing, you can't let someone else's opinion control your actions. If you're always living to avoid judgment, you'll never take the risks necessary for growth. Let me ask you a question. How many people in your life are truly going to judge you for chasing your dreams? Maybe a few, but let's get real. The people who matter, the ones who are going to support you, are going to applaud your courage even when you fail. Why? Because they know you're trying. They know you're taking action. The second kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. What if things don't work out? What if I invest all this time and energy and it fails? You're scared of what you can't predict, what you can't control. But you know what? No one has the full picture. Even the most successful people don't have every step mapped out. What they have is the willingness to move forward despite uncertainty. And the moment you can embrace the unknown as part of the journey, you'll start seeing that fear isn't something to run from. It's something to run toward. Because it means you're about to experience growth. The fear of losing control is another huge obstacle. You might feel like if you take action, things will spiral out of control. What if it gets too overwhelming? What if you lose your grip? The thing is, life never really comes under control. It's an illusion to begin with. You can only control your response. But when you act, you learn just what to do when things arise. You develop those coping skills, that rugged mind frame of handling things as they come. That is like learning to ride a bicycle. To begin with, you feel like toppling over, but after a while you find balance. That is what action does for you. It builds your resilience. Now we've discussed our fear, but we need to tackle the solution. Action. It sounds easy enough, right? Just take action. But if it were that easy, all of us would be successful. So why does it seem to be so hard? It is the paradox of action. The more you think about it, the harder it gets. It is easy to get mired in analysis paralysis when you spend hours planning and planning, but then end up doing nothing. You sit there thinking whether it's right or whether you have everything ready. But guess what? Perfection is the enemy of progress. The secret is starting small and doing something consistently. No mountain was ever climbed in a single step. You take one step, then another, then another. It's not about leaping to the top all at once. It is about consistent and steady progress. So begin small. Perhaps you've been procrastinating over some project, or this idea has been lying in your head for months. Don't worry about the whole thing in your mind at once. Just take one step today. Just write down your goal or take one action towards it. Every time you do, you are closer and closer to making it real. Perfectionism can be one of the most dangerous things when it comes to taking action. We all want things to be just right before we put them out into the world, but that's just another form of procrastination. The truth is, there's no such thing as perfect. There's only progress. Every move you make is part of the learning process. The only way to get better is to act and adjust on the spot. Quit waiting for perfect conditions. They aren't coming. Start with what you have. Start with what you know. Let your journey of learning begin now. Action breeds momentum, and momentum is what keeps you going. Think about it. Once you start moving, it gets easier to keep moving. The hardest part is the initial push. Once you gain that momentum, the fear of failure starts to diminish. Every time you take a small action, you build confidence. And every time you succeed, no matter how small the victory, you build momentum that'll carry you through even on your toughest days. The more you act, the less power fear holds over you. Accountability is a game changer. In fact, studies have shown that the more people you share your goals with, the more likely you are to take action. Because accountability adds another layer of commitment. It's forcing you to show up for yourself on those terrible days when fear is trying to hold you back. Find someone who will support you, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a colleague, and share your goals. Make it real, make it public, and let that accountability drive you forward. Let's face a hard truth. Setbacks are inevitable. Every person who's ever achieved anything worthwhile has faced failure at some point. In fact, setbacks often come before success. Think about the greatest achievers in history. Einstein failed numerous times. Steve Jobs, kicked out of his own company. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. Why does that setback feel so personal? Why does failure seem so much more crushing when it happens to you? It's because you haven't reframed it yet. A setback isn't a sign that you should quit. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a test of your resilience, your ability to adapt, and your commitment to moving forward. Resilience isn't about avoiding failure. It's about how you respond to it. The most successful people aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who keep getting up after each fall. Resilience means refusing to let failure define you, refusing to let setbacks stop your momentum. So the next time you encounter a setback, don't treat it as the end of the road. Treat it as a challenge that will help you learn and evolve. You'll make mistakes, yes, but the important thing is to keep going, keep adjusting, and keep building your strength. Consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. When you're afraid of failure, consistency gives you the discipline to keep moving forward, even when fear tries to stop you. You don't have to take giant leaps every day. Small, consistent actions are what ultimately lead to big results. Look, nobody does it overnight. It's a long, winding road. There are a lot of bumps, detours. And by being steady, by showing up every day, even if you don't feel like it, you'll make progress. And when you look back, you'll see how far you've traveled. Along this journey, it's too easy to be hard on oneself. We all have that inner critic, that voice telling us we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed, that we're just fooling ourselves. But here's a little secret. The way you speak to yourself matters. How you treat yourself during times of fear and failure is as important as the action you take. Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook for not doing your best, but rather about treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and patience you would offer a friend. I mean, you wouldn't berate someone for failing. Don't do that to yourself. Another very important skill to develop is adaptability. You may have a goal in mind, but life has a way of throwing you curveballs sometimes. The ability to pivot, adjust, and find new ways forward is key. Failure isn't about your inability to succeed. It's about your ability to adapt, to learn, and to rise from the ashes of your mistakes. When you come at failure with the attitude that it is not end, but just part of the process, you will find that each step backward teaches you something worthwhile. It may teach you something useful, change your strategy, or show you how to do things better. Your failures are your teachers. No one succeeds alone. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, who push you to be better, and who lift you up during those moments of doubt. Your environment shapes your mindset. When you're constantly in a space that encourages growth and embraces failure as part of the process, you'll be more resilient, more motivated, and less likely to quit. But it's not just about placing yourself in an environment where you're surrounded by people who will support you. Make sure also that you support yourself. Be proud even of small wins. Progress is success, and every step forward is worth celebration. Now here's the final thing I want you to understand. The biggest enemy of success is not failure. It's not fear. It's inaction. And the biggest risk you face is never taking that first step because you're scared of what might happen. Today, I want you to make a commitment to no longer let fear control your decisions, to no longer let what if keep you from doing what you know you need to do. Take action, even if it's imperfect, even if you're scared, because the only way to find success is to keep moving forward. And remember, you're not alone. Every single person who has achieved anything worthwhile has faced fear, setbacks, and doubt. What makes them different is that they chose to act despite it all. You can too. Thank you for watching this video. If this has inspired you to stop letting fear hold you back, then I encourage you to take action today. And if you want to dive even deeper into learning how to focus on your strengths and not try to be everything to everyone, check out my next video entitled, Focus on Your Strengths. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. It's time to stop spreading yourself thin and start focusing on what really matters.